At ATK, we test hundreds of kitchen gadgets a year, and we are always on the lookout for the best products on the market. The real trick, however, is finding useful, high-quality kitchen gear at an affordable price. Stocking your kitchen gear with the right gadgets can go a long way towards improving your cooking and making kitchen tasks easier. But sometimes top-rated gear can come with a hefty price tag, which can be very frustrating. So I'm going to show you some of my favorite gadgets our team has tested under $25. Drop a like, let me know what you think in the comments, and let's get started. First on my list, a portable electric burner. Portable burners are great to have on hand. Having a spare stove for holidays or parties is hugely helpful. And these guys are also great for cooking in campers or RVs. We tested gas and electric burners together, and our ATK recommended winner here by Amusa won the electric category. At around $14, it was by far the least expensive burner in our lineup, regardless of fuel source. Electric burners are great because they're usually more compact and less expensive than gas burners. During our testing, we identified a few key things to look for and consider with portable electric burners. First up, powerful heating. Of the electric models, only our favorite had the oomph to boil, stir fry, and sear effectively. It had the highest wattage at 1100 watts, and it outshined its electric competition every time we used it. That said, it also took 3 times as long as the gas burners to boil water, so something to consider there. The other electric burners we tested, though, they couldn't boil water at all. They were too weak. Next up, responsive heat adjustability. Every model we tested had a single dial to adjust the heat level. The best models allowed for a bit more fine-tuning and worked both at very high and very low settings. The Amusa has a nice simple dial that allows you to adjust the heat levels from low to medium to high. Next, cleaning. You want your burner to be easy to clean. Most of the models we tested were easy to clean, including the Amusa. You just wipe them down and use something like a cloth and an all-purpose spray or some hot soapy water. Definitely don't immerse them in water though, because they do have electric components. Which brings us to safety. Electric burners usually come with short cords to prevent tripping while you're cooking hot food. But if you do use an extension cord, because you might need to, make sure it's heavy duty and secured and don't trip on it. One big thing to know about the Amusa is it can't handle pans over 10 pounds. So unfortunately, you won't be able to use a Dutch oven on it or boil massive stock pots of stew. But the Amusa is great for pretty much anything else like burgers or stir fries, and at $14, it's a helpful little tool. Next, let's talk mini slow cookers. You're probably thinking, come on Hannah, do I really need a little baby slow cooker? But trust me, these things are awesome. They can do everything from keeping dips warm at parties to slow cooking scaled down meals for 1 or 2 people from start to finish. The big draw here, though, is that a mini slow cooker will also save you a ton of space. They're perfect for a college dorm room, a camper, or for smaller kitchens. All of the models we tested had a lot in common. They were pretty rudimentary, with no digital temperature settings or fancy timers like our winning full-size slow cooker from KitchenAid has. Each consists of a removable dishwasher-safe ceramic crock outfitted with a glass lid and set in a metal shell that houses the heating elements. There was one key difference, though. Their temperature controls. While 2 models had dials for 3 temperature settings, warm, low, and high, one product only had options for low and high. Another model by Crock-Pot didn't have a temperature dial at all. It was either on or off, with no variable settings. We found mini slow cookers without a warm setting often ended up overcooking food, so be sure to look out for that warm setting for those temperature-sensitive recipes. You also want to get a model with handles so you can safely transport the slow cooker if it's hot. And a bright indicator light is really useful so you can know that the model is on. The one we tested from Crock-Pot did not have handles or an indicator light, which felt a little dangerous. Can these mini slow cookers really replace a full slow cooker? No, they can't. But they're certainly more than just a novelty item. At around $25, our ATK recommended winner from Elite Gourmet is a great option for keeping apps warm at the table or for cooking scaled down recipes. Next, electric wine openers. The right model, like our winning electric wine opener from Secura, can save you a good deal of time and effort uncorking bottles of wine. Regardless of style, electric wine openers essentially work the same way. You put the opener over the neck of a bottle of wine, press a button or apply pressure, and the worm, the corkscrew, pierces the cork. After the worm has twisted through the length of the entire cork, it reverses direction and pulls the cork from the bottle. Once this cycle is complete, the device stops. Another button usually releases the cork from the opener, but some did this automatically. The models we tested have rechargeable batteries, some sit on charging docks, while others plug directly into an electrical outlet via a cord. We tested our lineup by opening both wine bottles with synthetic corks, which can be slippery and overly firm, and natural corks. Our winner from Secura had some key features. First, manual start and cork release. We liked the control that came with manual devices. Because we were in control of the start and stop buttons, we never worried about the devices starting before they were firmly planted on the bottles, which did happen with other models. We could also release the corks when we were ready, on our time. Models with corkscrews that were sharp and skinny could easily pierce both natural and synthetic corks. The tip of our winner was particularly pointy and knife-like. It effortlessly pierced synthetic and natural corks with the push of a button. Our least favorite was dull and bulky, totally ineffective. Smaller models were best. Lighter devices, less than 1 pound, were easier to handle. We also like models that were less than 12 inches tall when on their charging docks, so it was easier to store them on a shelf or in a cabinet. Evenly distributed weight was also key. Models that were proportionate throughout their design were much easier to hold and control. We could comfortably maintain our grip during the entire process of opening a bottle of wine. Quick and quiet operation was also important. We favored models that opened bottles of wine without making too much of a ruckus. What was even more important, we preferred models that opened bottles of wine in 20 seconds or less, roughly the same amount of time it takes an experienced person to open a bottle of wine with a traditional corkscrew. Our winner stood out for its design and transparent window, allowing us to see the corkscrew in action. It shone not only in form, but also in function. Compared to a traditional corkscrew, it worked just as quickly and sometimes even faster. It opened over 30 bottles of wine in a row without losing charge and easily released all of the corks. And although it spun a little while opening bottles, it had a plastic rim that helped stabilize it. At around $20, we think it's a convenient gadget for wine enthusiasts and occasional drinkers alike. Next, blade coffee grinders. Many of us here at the Test Kitchen are passionate about coffee. And if you want the freshest, most full-flavored cup of coffee, we always recommend grinding your own coffee beans. It's best to do this right before you brew, as our testing has shown that beans begin to lose flavor and aroma within 1 hour of being ground. Home coffee grinders come in 2 styles, blade and burr. A blade grinder works like a tiny food processor with a rapidly spinning blade that chops the coffee beans into smaller and smaller fragments. A burr grinder works more like a pepper mill, with 2 spinning discs that change in distance for a finer or coarser grind. Blade grinders are often more compact and are a fraction of the price of burr grinders, while still producing good tasting results. We use the grinders to achieve fine, medium, and coarse grind with both light and dark roasted beans. Finally, we had testers ranging from novices to coffee experts operate each grinder to gauge its user friendliness and taste the coffee they produce. This is our ATK recommended winner from Krups, and it had some key features we were looking for during our testing. We measured the distance between the blade and the base of the grinding chamber, and we found that models with more than 9 millimeters between the blade and the base ground coffee less evenly, allowing whole beans to pass under the blade and never get fully broken down. That's just a waste. Our favorite grinder had just 6.4 millimeters of space, ensuring that when operated correctly, more on that later, we never saw any whole beans in the final grind. It achieved the most even grind of any of the blade grinders we tested at 48% medium pieces. Medium is good. In coffee terminology, there's fines, the really powdery stuff, mediums, the medium-sized chunks, and boulders, which are too big. You're really not extracting enough flavor. So having a lot of mediums is a good thing. Capacity is also important. The amount of beans you grind depends on how much coffee you're making. A good grinder should be able to process anywhere from a single serving to a full pot's worth of beans. To test capacity, we use the specifications for brewing a full pot, 10 servings of coffee in our winning automatic drip coffee maker, which requires just under 70 grams or about 1 cup of ground coffee. Most of the grinders were able to accommodate this amount, but 2 struggled. One just barely contained all of the beans, and with the grinding chamber packed so full, the beans could not rotate around, and this grinder struggled to fully break them down. While many of us are probably not brewing a full pot every single day, smaller capacity grinders proved more difficult to use even when they weren't overflowing. Our favorite grinder, on the other hand, had a capacity of 75 grams, which made it more versatile and tidier. Simpler is better. Cooks often use blade grinders not only for coffee, but also for spices. But that can get a little messy and can even leave traces of the spice behind in your coffee. A touch of cinnamon may be nice, but maybe not a touch of cumin. Some brands try to mitigate this with innovative features like removable spice grinding chambers, but these just made things more messy and complicated in the end. We preferred the simpler, cleaner operation of traditional blade-style grinders. Ultimately, we recommend buying a separate grinder for spices. We considered other design differences as well, such as the ease of holding down the grind buttons, where these buttons were placed, and how easy it was to monitor the coffee as it's ground. Some grinders had buttons or shaded lids that partially obscured our view of the grinding. Others were so difficult to press down that we had to grip the grinder with both hands. We haven't had our coffee yet. That's way too hard. We liked responsive grind buttons, a clear lid, and offset buttons, so our hands didn't block our view of the grind. Here's a tip for blade grinders. We found that if you just hold down the button, some of the coffee beans get overground, while others never come in contact with the blade at all and remained whole. To combat this, we recommend holding the button down in 1-second intervals and shaking the grinder in between pulses. This isn't a complete fix. Even after shaking and grinding with the blade grinder, we still had some unevenly ground coffee, but it did help. Our ATK recommended model by Krups was incredibly simple to use, had a roomy grinding chamber, and a crystal clear lid that let us monitor the grinding. How do these inexpensive blade grinders compare to burr grinders? Burr grinders are easier to use, simply just push a button, and they're also easier to get consistent brews from day to day because the machine is handling the degree to which the beans are ground. But there is a case for blade grinders. They're not quite as consistent, require more effort from the user, and you can't dial in your grind as effectively, but at 1/10 of the price, you can still get delicious tasting coffee from them. After conducting taste tests over the years, again and again, pulling in coffee experts to help us evaluate the flavor, tasters really could not identify a difference between coffee made with a blade grinder and a burr grinder. Burr grinders are easier to use, but for around 18 bucks, you can get a great cup of coffee from a blade grinder, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Last but certainly not least on my list, Panini Presses. You may not need a Panini press, but a good one makes toasting sandwiches and grilling indoors so simple that you will find yourself reaching for it. Panini presses, also called electric sandwich makers or contact grills, are clamshell-shaped appliances that close around sandwiches and other foods to cook them. Sometimes Panini presses leave grill marks, other models didn't have them. But they have receptacles for dripping grease and open flat to become a griddle, sometimes with separate temperature controls for each half. During testing, we learned which features mattered. But first, we should point out that you can cook similar foods without a panini press. In the test kitchen, we've used stovetop grill pans or regular cast iron skillets, plus readily available tools such as our winning heavy grill press or even just a heavy Dutch oven to produce crisply toasted panini and other indoor grilled foods. That said, electric panini presses are fun and convenient. If you have limited kitchen space or own few appliances or pieces of cookware, they can offer versatility in one machine. This is our ATK recommended model from Dash, the Dash Express Griddle. Simple, small, and inexpensive, this 8-inch round model with flat rather than ridged cooking surfaces was an why not addition to our lineup. Its performance surprised and delighted us. Light, compact, easy to use and clean, it kept pace with pricier models in every test, producing golden, crispy, melty panini, though with no grill marks, which honestly, we didn't mind. Larger, bulkier panini on sub rolls had to be cut in halves to fit, and we needed to press down on the lid with our hands as they grilled, but the results were terrific. We also cooked a few big pancakes one at a time, made fluffy egg and cheese omelets, made ham and cheese panini on sourdough, and much more. If you can't tell, we were just having fun with this thing. Wiping the machine clean and storing it was a breeze. Bottom line, this is not a traditional panini press, and it may not last forever, but it really works, and at around 20 bucks, it could certainly be a worthy addition to your kitchen arsenal. With my picks for inexpensive gadgets, I hope you will be well on your way to easier, quicker, or better cooking without too much of an impact on your wallet. For more information about all of the gadgets I talked about today, check out the links below or go to americastestkitchen.com. Let me know in the comments which inexpensive gadgets make your list of favorites. And while you're down there, be sure to hit that like button and click the bell icon so you never miss an episode.